What's going on, people? Alright, I'm gonna see if I can't throw this video together real quick. It's gonna be the 65% versus 85%. I know a lot of you guys would be like, man, I can't wait till you drop that video. Listen, I put the video together once and then I came back and rewatched it after I uploaded it on YouTube. And over here in the screen, in a lot of my trucker notes, is that I've also got a lot of notes that I don't want to share with you guys. Yeah, there's notes in there. It's got it's got credentials and stuff in there with passwords and all that good stuff. So no, I had to just demolish it. So we're gonna redo it. I think I can do it better too because there's a couple things that I left out that I was like, man, I should have added this. Man, I shouldn't have said that. Man, I should have added this. So let's dive right in, shall we? So before I flip you around and show you the big screen here, aka MacBook Pro, got to understand something. When you're dealing with trucking rates and freight rates, you've basically got a couple different type of rates. You've got what we call as carrier rates that the carrier gets, and you've got what you call shipping rates. That's the rate that the shippers go by. So let's use something for an example here. Walmart has 500 loads they want to put out a week from this location to that location, and they put out a bid process, and these carriers come back and give a bid on what they can run it for, and that might be $1,000 a load, it might be $1,500 a load, but whatever the case is, whatever the broker, or the just say the brokerage, yeah, not the carrier, the brokerage, whatever the brokerage contracts that rate at, that's the shipping rate. That's not the carrier rate, what we as carriers get. Because you got to think about it. On each load, everybody's going to take a slice of that pie. So if you start out at $1,000 as a shipping rate, by the time the brokers get their cut of the pie, that's going to dwindle down to probably $700-800 by the time you, the carrier, gets it. That's just simple. Excuse me. Makes sense, common sense, as my buddy Dave says. And I got a good example to show you guys. I mean, this is going to be hearsay for you, but it's real life stuff for me. It's what I witnessed, it's what I experienced, and what I seen firsthand. So let's dive right in, shall we? All right, I'm gonna give you a real life example. This is something that I experienced, something I got to witness, and it just opened my eyes a little bit on how things actually work within some organizations. But before I drive into this real life example, I want to stress a couple of things. Oh, excuse me. One is being, if you go to a carrier and they've got, like, if it's an independent, and they say, hey, come lease on with us, and we will give you 85% of the load, and we have our own accounts, we have our own contracts, you need to ask them, what does those contracts consist of? Is that 85% of carrier rates, or is that 85% of the shipping rate, the contracted rate? Because when contracts are made between shippers and brokers, or brokerages, they go for a lot more than the truck normally sees. Because you got to think about it, the brokerages has to get a piece of the pie, right? So if a load that might start out at $1,500, by the time the carrier gets it, it may be $500 less. It may be $1,000 to the carrier. That's just how it goes. Everybody's got to get a piece of the pie. So let's say Walmart, they contract out 500 loads going from point A to point B, and each load is contracted out at $1,500. Okay, by the time the brokerage gets it, they're going to take their percentage, and by the time the carrier gets it, the truck driver, it's going to be on a national average, supply and demand, also known as the carrier rate. And if you're up to par and you're hip with the times and you pay attention to trending lanes on the average lane rates, then you're going to come up with a carrier rate for that lane. And then the brokerages are going to try to, you know, it's supply and demand. It's all supply and demand. But for the sake of this video, let's say Walmart has the load. They contracted out $1,500 a load. Broker A puts it out, and they take out their cut, and everybody takes a piece of the pie. And it's $1,000 is left on the bone for the carrier, which is cool because we get that same load. Let's use this for example, 308 miles. And it's $1,000, just like you see down here on the screen. It's $1,000, 308 miles comes to $3.25. Now let me check my math over here. So 1,000 divided by 308. 308 is significant here because that's the real life example I'm about to give you. Yeah, 3.24675. So let's say 3.25. 3.25 is what that carrier rate's going to be. And let me say, hey, come lease on with me. I'm going to let you get 85% of the freight. You need to ask me, is that 85% of the carrier rates, or is that 85% of the shipping rate? And if I say it's just a carrier rate, you know, oh, it's just off the dashboard, whatever you get it for, here's a little heads up, you're getting carrier rate. And you better be good at negotiating so you can get top-notch carrier rate on the high end. So, for the sake of the video, let's stick to this. If they've got their own contracts, explore that option. You might be able to be making a lot of money. But just for the majority of people, they say, oh, well, you can run off the dashboard. I give you my login, and you can run off the dashboard and do all you want to do, and you get 85% of that. And that's better than these other companies that only give you 65, 73, 75, 80. I'm going to give you 85% of it. I'm only going to take 15%. Now, let's say that's the case. And let's see here. Let me get my cursor back into place so I can move this up. And you get 85% of the load. You take that $1,000 times about 80.85, it comes up to $850, which dropped the cent per mile down to $2.76. You know, that's pretty decent. It is pretty decent. But keep in mind, this is on a regional run. This is based on a run at 308 miles. Now, if you came to me and ran for me, and I gave you 85% of the carrier rate, and I say, hey, here's the login to the dashboard. I'm set up with these brokers. Or if you find another broker, we'll check their credit and we'll add them too. But find your loads off the dashboard. You get 85% of the rate. What you get is what you get. So let's say you find a load that's paying $1,000 right there. The carrier, me, if I run it, I'm getting 3.25 for it. But you leased on to me, you're getting 85% of it, which $1,000 times 85% comes to $850, which is going to drop your cent per mile down to $2.76. And I know you're saying it makes sense. Well, man, you're not making sense. You're talking in circles. Well, I say all that to say this. My brother, he's a Landstar BCO. All right. And also my buddy Danny, Mr. Show You Right, he's a Landstar BCO. That's two drivers that are BCOs at Landstar. I'm close friends with both of them. Now, we just happened to end up running a load. They was going through Landstar. They was, through the Landstar thing. And I was going through the carrier thing. We was picking up at the same pickup. We was delivering to the same customers. The only difference there is they was making a little different on the rate. And I pleaded, negotiated, and tried my damnedest to get my rate up. And I couldn't. And the guy told me, he said, listen, man, most of these I'm pushing for $800 and $900. I'm giving them to you for $1,000 because you keep calling me. And you told me you're going to keep calling me. And you told me if I match $1,000, then you would call me every time you're in Savannah, which you have done. He said, trust me, man, there's not that much money in these. And I didn't say nothing. I was just like, yeah. Because I knew something different, see. I knew something totally different. So, I was running those loads at $1,000, which for honestly it's 308 miles. I'd pick up that load 6.5 hours later. I was dropping it off and I was done. You know what I'm saying? That's a quick $1,000. But if you was leased on to me at 85%, you're only gonna make $850. Okay. Now, I know I'm talking in circles. This is the real life stuff. This is not hearsay. I know it's hearsay for you, but it's not hearsay for me. I witnessed it. Now, my brother and my buddy Danny, they was doing that same load at Landstar for 65%. Can you guess what that load was paying? A lot of people say, oh, he's probably getting $1,200-$1,300 for it. Nope. Maybe 14. Nope. Maybe 15. Nope. They was getting that load for $1,605. Now you take that 65%, it comes to $1,043. Now that $1,043 divided by 308 miles comes to $3.39 a mile. Now let me ask you this. You want to lease on to me and get 85% of that rate and get $850? Or do you want to be a lease on the Landstar and get a little low 65%, but you get 65% of carrier rate? Not carrier rate, shit. I thought it was going to be epic there, and I just messed it all up. You're going to get 65% of shipping rate. $1,605, which comes to $43 more than I can make, and I've got my flipping authority. Come on now. So 65 or 85, it depends on the rate. If you getting, you take, I don't know, man. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. If you don't understand this, please dig into it more before you jump into that. You know what I'm saying? Look into it more. And like I said, I'm not an advocate for Landstar. The more I know about Mercer, if I was going to do something different right now, I'd probably go to Mercer, simply because hell, all the Mercers ex-Landstar drivers. They changed over when they got tired of Landstar's BS. And the whole thing I really don't like about Landstar nowadays, I mean, I talk about Landstar a lot, but I don't really haul a lot of Landstar stuff. Why? Because I think they've got over 2,000 agents, and most of them are trying to double back and piggyback and move everybody else's cheap freight, and I just ain't having it. So there you go. My buddies at Landstar, running the same load, apples to apples, was making more money than me, the carrier, just at a little measly 65%.